Look at the money in your wallet or the number on your banking app. None of it is backed by gold. None of it is backed by anything physical at all. It is paper or pixels, worth something only because everyone agrees it is worth something. The moment that agreement breaks, the value disappears. That should feel a little unsettling. It should also make you curious, because not all currency works this way. There are at least 10 different systems for what gives money its value and who actually controls it. Here is every kind of currency, what backs it, and what you are actually trusting every time you use it. Fiat currency. This is the currency almost everyone uses every single day. The US dollar, the euro, the yen. Fiat currency is money that has value because a government declares it legal tender, and people agree to accept it. Nothing physical backs it. No gold sitting in a vault guaranteeing your dollar is worth a dollar. The value comes entirely from trust. Trust that the government will not print unlimited amounts of it. Trust that other people will accept it in exchange for goods and services. Trust that the economy behind it remains stable enough to hold that value tomorrow. This system works remarkably well most of the time. It also means the value of your money is directly tied to decisions made by central banks and governments, decisions you have no direct control over. When that trust breaks down completely, you get hyperinflation, currencies becoming worth less than the paper they are printed on. Fiat currency is not backed by nothing. It is backed by belief. Belief is powerful. Belief is also fragile. Commodity-backed currency. This is the currency your grandparents' money used to be. A commodity-backed currency is directly redeemable for a fixed amount of a physical commodity, historically, gold or silver. Under a gold standard, your paper currency was essentially a claim ticket. Walk into the right institution, hand over your bills, and receive actual gold in exchange. This system created built-in discipline. Governments could not print unlimited money because every bill in circulation needed to be backed by actual gold reserves. The system also created real limitations. Economic growth became tied to how much gold a country happened to have, not how much the economy actually needed to function efficiently. Most major economies abandoned commodity-backed currency in the 20th century, the United States fully leaving the gold standard in 1971. Understanding this history explains why your money today works completely differently than it did less than a century ago. Commodity money. This is currency that does not represent value. It simply is the value. Commodity money is when the actual physical item being used as currency has inherent worth, independent of any government backing it. Gold coins, silver coins. Historically, even things like salt, cattle, or shells functioned as commodity money in different societies. The advantage is obvious. The money cannot become worthless through government mismanagement because the value exists in the material itself. A gold coin remains valuable whether or not any government still exists to back it. The disadvantage is practicality. Commodity money is heavy, difficult to divide precisely, difficult to transport in large quantities, and difficult to verify authenticity at scale. Modern economies moved away from commodity money specifically because paper and digital systems solved these practical problems, even while introducing the trust problem that commodity money never had. Reserve currency. This is the currency that other countries choose to hold. A reserve currency is a currency held in significant quantities by foreign governments, central banks, and international institutions, used to facilitate international trade and settle debts between countries. The US dollar holds this position more than any other currency in the modern world. Roughly 60% of global foreign exchange reserves are held in dollars. Oil is priced in dollars. Many international contracts are denominated in dollars, even between two countries where neither one is the United States. Being the primary reserve currency grants enormous advantages. The country whose currency holds this status can borrow more cheaply, run larger deficits without immediate consequence, and exert significant influence over global finance. It also creates significant responsibility and exposure. Global demand for that currency affects its value in ways disconnected from domestic economic conditions. Reserve currency status is not permanent. It has shifted throughout history and can shift again. Cryptocurrency. This is the currency that exists only because of code. Cryptocurrency is digital currency secured through cryptography, operating on a decentralized network called the blockchain, without any central authority like a government or bank controlling it. Bitcoin, Ethereum, thousands of others. No single institution issues cryptocurrency or controls its supply. Bitcoin's total supply is mathematically capped at 21 million coins, written into the code itself, unchangeable without consensus from the entire network. This represents a fundamentally different trust model than fiat currency. Instead of trusting a government or central bank, users trust mathematics and distributed consensus. The value proposition is decentralization, scarcity, and independence from any single controlling entity. The trade-offs are real. Extreme price volatility, no central authority to correct errors or reverse fraudulent transactions, regulatory uncertainty that varies significantly by country. Cryptocurrency did not eliminate trust from money, it relocated where that trust gets placed. Central bank digital currency. This is the currency governments are building specifically because cryptocurrency exists. A central bank digital currency, a CBDC, is a digital form of a country's official currency, issued and controlled directly by that country's central bank. Unlike cryptocurrency, a CBDC is not decentralized. It carries the full backing and control of the government that issues it, functioning as digital cash rather than a digital asset. Several countries have already launched CBDCs. Many more, including major economies, are actively researching or piloting their own versions. The appeal for governments includes more efficient payment systems, reduced costs of physical currency production, and enhanced ability to track economic activity in real time. That last point is exactly where the controversy lives. A CBDC gives the issuing government unprecedented visibility into individual transactions, raising genuine questions about privacy and the potential for direct government control over how, when, and whether individuals can spend their own money. A CBDC is digital, like cryptocurrency. It is centralized, like fiat. It combines the convenience of one with the control structure of the other. Stablecoins. This is the currency built to solve cryptocurrency's biggest weakness. A stablecoin is a cryptocurrency specifically designed to maintain a stable value by being pegged to another asset, most commonly a fiat currency like the US dollar. Standard cryptocurrencies can swing wildly in value within a single day. Stablecoins attempt to eliminate that volatility by maintaining a one-to-one or otherwise fixed relationship with a stable reference asset. Some stablecoins maintain this peg by holding actual reserves of the underlying asset, dollar for dollar. Others use algorithmic mechanisms to maintain the peg without holding full reserves, a method that has proven significantly riskier, with several algorithmic stablecoins collapsing entirely when market pressure exceeded what their mechanism could handle. Stablecoins occupy a unique position, operating on blockchain infrastructure while attempting to replicate the price stability of traditional fiat currency. Whether that stability is genuine depends entirely on how thoroughly the underlying reserves are actually held and verified. Local and community currency. This is the currency that only works down the street. Local currency is money created and used within a specific geographic community, designed specifically to encourage spending to stay within that local economy, rather than flowing out to larger regional or national markets. These currencies are typically exchanged at parity or near parity with national currency, accepted only by participating local businesses, functioning alongside, not instead of, the official national currency. The economic theory behind local currency is straightforward. Money that circulates locally multiple times before leaving the area generates more economic activity within that community than money that immediately flows out to a large national or multinational company. Local currencies remain a relatively small niche phenomenon, existing in specific towns and communities around the world, more a statement of community values than a significant economic force. Complementary currency. This is the currency you already use without thinking of it as currency at all. Complementary currency refers to non-government exchange systems that function as currency within a specific ecosystem without being legal tender in the broader economy. Airline miles, hotel loyalty points, video game currency. Each of these functions exactly like money within its specific system. You earn it, you save it, you spend it on goods or services within that ecosystem. You can sometimes even trade it or convert it to other forms of value. What makes it currency, rather than just a rewards program, is that it functions as a genuine medium of exchange within its bounded system, with actual economic value that companies carefully manage to control issuance and redemption, functioning essentially as a private, company-issued currency system operating in parallel to national currency. Pegged currency. This is the currency that chooses not to float freely. A pegged currency has its value fixed relative to another currency, or a basket of currencies, rather than being allowed to fluctuate freely based on market supply and demand. Many countries peg their currency to the US dollar or another major currency, maintaining that fixed exchange rate through active central bank intervention, buying and selling their own currency to keep the rate stable. The advantage is predictability. Businesses and investors know exactly what exchange rate to expect, reducing risk in international trade and investment. The disadvantage is that maintaining a peg requires significant foreign currency reserves and constant central bank intervention. When market pressure becomes strong enough, pegs can break, sometimes suddenly and dramatically, causing significant economic disruption when they do. A pegged currency trades market-driven flexibility for artificial stability, a trade-off that works well until it suddenly does not. Every kind of currency. 10 different answers to the same question. What actually gives this money its value, and who actually controls it? Fiat currency trusts governments. Commodity-backed currency trusts physical gold. Commodity money trusts the material itself. Reserve currency trusts global consensus. Cryptocurrency trusts mathematics and decentralized networks. Central bank digital currency trusts government, digitized. Stablecoins trust pegs and reserves. Local currency trusts community. Complementary currency trusts private systems. Pegged currency trusts intervention. Every single one of them is ultimately a trust system. The money in your wallet was never about the paper. It was always about what that paper represents. Now you know exactly what you are trusting every time you use it. That is the point.